First, I want to talk to you about real estate, obviously, because that's, you know, you're always your bread and butter. I would like to get an update, if we can, on the project that you've been working. I know it's been a long time coming with this New York skyscraper situation, right? We met you 3 years ago, and you were talking about it, and I saw you on the Breakfast Club, and you was talking about it recently. So what is I just want to know, like, what is the holdup on this? Is it on the funding side, or is it on the political side? Is it tenants? Is it residential neighborhood issue? Like, what's the roadblock that has been holding up Aspiration Tower? And that's going to be the largest, if built, the largest building in the Western Hemisphere, I believe. So yeah, what's the holdup right now?
Yeah, it'll be the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere. It'll be the first major development. First skyscraper in the United States, and first skyscraper and then in New York City to be built by Black developers and a Black contractor. The holdup is not money. When we submitted our proposal, we submitted proof of financing. So it's all political. It's the governor of New York making a decision that this is something that they want to go forward with. It was a competitive process. We've responded to that competitive process. This is the second time around for it. The first time around, Andrew Cuomo was governor, and we were close to they were close to making a decision. He ended up leaving office. Governor Hochul came in and assumed the role as governor, and as a result of that, she went through and they canceled the process and redid it. We resubmitted to that, and we are waiting for the state of New York and the governor's office to make a decision on the selection of the developer for that project.
So when you're taking on a project of that magnitude, obviously this is a big project. You still have things going on throughout the cities. How are we delegating the task, right? We're building the team around it. How are we delegating? Because it's not like you're waiting on this and you're stopping. Obviously this is on hold, but the process doesn't stop. You're still looking for opportunities throughout. So what is that process like for you guys?
Well, look, we're very active developer, we're pretty robust. We've got projects in Boston. We got projects in other projects in New York City, Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got phase 1 of our Brooklyn Village development, which is in Uptown in the business district. And we are just finishing up site work there and look forward to starting to build the first building there, which will be a residential development, high-rise development there. And then we've got projects in Raleigh-Durham, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, and then of course Miami. And so we're doing those projects, working on those projects while we continue to make a decision, wait for the state to make a decision. And we've assembled our team. I mean, we've got the design team, the contractors, and the key members of the team to go and execute. But what would happen is if the governor and the state of New York ended up selecting us to develop on that site, then we would go through the pre-development work of getting, building, permits and construction drawings done. And that's going to take us about 1.5 years to do. And then we'd start construction, and the building would take us about 4 years to build, maybe a little bit longer. And it would be the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere.
And can I just quick, is there a timeline on a decision that she has to make it in? Like, how does that work?
Well, they have a process with deadlines. All of those have come and gone, and we've met those, but they don't have a process for making a decision. They had an estimated time to make the decision, and they have passed that time period. So we're waiting to see what the state is going to do in terms of, making a decision on the selection process.
A two-parter for you. Number one, what can we do as an audience to help push this project to the finish line? And number two, when you're managing a portfolio so big, like, how are you assessing risk, and what are you doing to mitigate risk from any potential losses from anything that you have in your current portfolio?
Well, I mean, one of the strategies for us is that we focus very heavily on the public-private space. And so what that means is that we're acquiring properties from states, governments, the city governments, around the country, and we don't take down the land until it's time to commence construction. And so what that means is that we can mitigate a lot of our risk in terms of owning the land and so forth, because we don't pay for it until it's time to commence construction. And so that's really how we mitigate our risk. So we're only going forward when, to start construction when the economic environments are correct. And so Charlotte's a very strong market. Interest rates are making it a little tougher than it would have been before. We love Atlanta. Great market there, strong market, strong mayor there who's doing a good job. Cities like that. New York is a bit more challenging in some spaces, but new construction, is pretty attractive right now. So we look at based on what the opportunities are, but we mitigate risk by not starting construction on projects until all the things are lined up financially, and we normally don't own the land until we're ready to start construction. So that helps us mitigate our risk.
And what was the second part of that question, Ian? How can we help?
Yeah, well, anything that we can do in terms of us collaborating with our audience to help push this forward? Because this should have been completed already. So is there anything we can do to help you personally?
Yeah, one of the things that can be done is that you all can, and people who are supportive of what we're doing, they can, make it a point to reach out to the governor and there's assembly members and the state senators, the president of the Senate, Andrew Stewart Cousins, the speaker, Carl Hastie, and then the governor. And the irony is that both leaders of the Senate and the state assembly are Black. So they should be pressing this agenda forward as well. And then also Eric Adams, who's been very supportive, to continue to encourage him to, aggressively advocate for this project. One of the things that we're also doing is Reverend Sharpton has been trying to build a civil rights museum in New York City to showcase those who have contributed to civil rights movement throughout our country's history, especially during the 1950s, 1960s, and beyond, and has not been able to find a home. So we are building a $50 million museum for him at the ground level and the first few levels of Aspiration Tower for the Civil Rights Museum to be there. We think the symbolism behind that is incredibly important. We should build our own Civil Rights Museum. And so we're doing that and spending our money to do that. So supporting Reverend Sharpton and encouraging Reverend Sharpton to push hard. This is if we want to, as the old saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. We need to do this together. It's amazing to me that in all of New York City's history, there's not one skyscraper, not one, built by a Black developer, owned by Black owners, built by a Black construction company, or designed by a Black architect. That is incredible when you think about that in this point in time. And that's where we really need to be pressing hard, is on economic inclusion, which is why I admire what you all have been doing, which is pressing forward an economic agenda, teaching our community to be financially literate, teaching our community about entrepreneurship, supporting and encouraging entrepreneurship. This is an example of entrepreneurship, and it's a $3 billion project, and $1 billion plus of that is going to go to Black-owned businesses. So there's a lot of economic opportunity for everybody. And so we just got to press hard on this issue with regards to economic inclusion. And it's the politicians that are going to make this decision.